Welcome to Suitcase and Chardonnay, the podcast where style meets storytelling and where we blissfully blend travel, fashion, food, wine, and intentional living. I'm Renate Engelbrecht, your host, and this is a space where you can find inspirational lifestyle tips, explore beautiful local and international destinations, and share slow, luxury moments and the little details that make life feel richer. In this second season, we are leaning even deeper into life's unique experiences. From boutique hotels and family weekend escapes, to thoughtful food and fashion, soulful conversations about wine, creativity and conservation, and the art of slowing down without losing your sense of adventure. Whether you're listening on a morning walk, planning your next getaway, or simply craving a moment of inspiration, you're in exactly the right place. If you love lifestyle podcasts that celebrate travel, fashion, food, and wine, go ahead and follow or subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And if something resonates, save it, share it, and let it travel further than we ever could alone. Now, if you're ready, let's go. Today's episode takes us back into the heart of South African wine country. Familiar territory for Suitcase and Chardonnay, but also a place where there is constantly something to learn, something to discover, and, well, something to swirl, smell, and savor. Although this conversation was recorded much closer to home, in the actual wine shop of one of the most famous pasta and pizza spots in Pretoria, you should prepare yourself as you will be transported from Pretoria's streets straight to Stellenbosch Vineyards in no time. During his recent visit to the Jacaranda city, I had the pleasure of sitting down with the one and only Michael Roets, viticulture farm manager at the iconic Lanzerac Wine Estate. With a history dating back to 1692, Lanzerac is one of South Africa's most celebrated wine estates, renowned for its rich heritage, award-winning wines, and its role in shaping the country's wine industry. Michael shares insights into the philosophy behind Lanzerac's winemaking, the challenges and rewards of managing both vineyards and cellar operations, and what it takes to steward a brand with such a remarkable legacy while keeping an eye firmly on the future. Lanzerac is, of course, the home of the first ever bottled Pinotage, which makes it even more unique. A special thanks to the team at Carafa Restaurant in Pretoria for hosting us and generously offering their intimate and rather impressive wine shop as our recording space for this conversation. It provided the perfect setting for a discussion centered around wine, craftsmanship, and the stories found in every bottle. Before we start, why don't you pour yourself a glass of your favorite wine, settle in and join me for a conversation with Michael Roets from Lanzerac Wine Estate. If you're a lifestyle, travel, fashion, food, or wine brand looking for a multi-purpose platform to collaborate with in telling your brand's story, please reach out to hello@suitcaseandchardonnay.co.za. Suitcase and Chardonnay is a blog, podcast, and social media company, and under the same brand, I am also a freelance writer who writes numerous articles for various publications. I would love to work with you in telling your brand's story, so feel free to reach out and let's share your story together. I am at Carafa's beautiful wine shop. And I'm with Michael. Michael, what's your surname?
Michael Roets.
Michael Roets. From Lanzerac, and he's the winemaker. Is that your whole role at Lanzerac, or?
So I used to be the viticulturist at Lanzerac for the past 3 years, and then the opportunity came to move to the cellar with more involvement in the cellar, a head winemaker, but also still involved in the agriculture, because that's where the magic actually happens.
Yeah. Absolutely, yes. Yeah. So you get to do both actually, and that's fantastic, because I think, like you say, that's where the magic happens, and that's I think that's where the passion for winemaking starts, isn't it?
Yes, that's where mine started. So yeah, my success depends on the success of the farm. 100%. So still pretty involved in that. But day-to-day activities, we do have a viticulturist, Barry van die Kerk, newly appointed. So exciting developments on the farm. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
And we are actually tasting some Lanzerac wines today at Carafa restaurant here in Pretoria. But it's interesting that, Michael, you are from Pretoria.
That's right.
Originally.
Yes. People often ask, how did I get to winemaking and wine coming from Pretoria? But there's actually a few Pretoria winemakers in the industry, believe it or not. Didn't grow up in a house that really loved wine. I just had a fascination with it from a young age. I had an uncle that was living in Franschhoek, and he always brought some good stuff. And as a boy, he exposed us to good wines, and it captured my attention. And the first time I visited a wine farm, it was Blauklippen, and it was in the middle of harvest, and it was chaos, and there was grapes coming in, and juice flowing, and wine flowing. And there was just this one guy standing in the middle of this chaos, looked like he was conducting an orchestra. It was chaos around him, but he had everything under control. And I walked up to him. I was 15 at the stage, and asked him, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm the winemaker." And yeah, I turned around, walked to my dad, and I said, "I'm going to become a winemaker."
Incredible.
Yeah, and lucky enough, he supported the whole thing. So straight after school, went to Stellenbosch, studied at Alsberg Agricultural College, and after that, did a few internships locally and internationally. Settled in California as a winemaker for 4 years, and then returned home, and the opportunity at Lanzerac came about.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So for the listeners who have not been to Lanzerac yet, maybe just give them an idea of where Lanzerac is located in the Winelands.
So Lanzerac is in the Jonkershoek Valley, right at the entrance of the Jonkershoek Valley. It's a dead-end valley that runs into a nature reserve. Beautiful area.
It's incredibly beautiful.
Small wine production area. There's only 3 producers in the valley. We are the first one. The farm has been established since 1692, so one of the oldest farms in the region. There is a boutique hotel also with 52 rooms, if I'm not mistaken, round about there. A spa, 4 food establishments, and also the first water tasting area, tasting lounge, if you will, in the country. Yeah, run by Nico Pieterse. He's one of only a handful of water sommeliers. Very insightful. When people hear water tasting for the first time, they're a bit skeptical. I was also skeptical, to be honest. But you learn so much about water and its origin and how different waters influence your palate and taste for other things. So he combines the tasting with our wines, and it's incredible how the different regions, the water from different regions with different pHs and different silica content and different mineral compounds influence your taste buds. So you taste the same wine and a few different waters, and how that water changes how you perceive the wine is quite interesting. Yeah.
Incredible. Sure. Yeah. So which cultivar is your favorite
So our pillar varieties is definitely Pinotage, Lanzerac being the first commercially bottled Pinotage in the world. It was a 1959 vintage, made from a vineyard that was planted in 1953. The block is still producing grapes, and we're still producing wine from it.
Wow.
The yields are down to 2 or 3 tons a hectare, if we're lucky, per year. We get about 2 tons, and we make a wine with those grapes called the commemorative Pinotage. This is to honor the history of the first Pinotage. We launched it in 2019.
Okay.
And it is one of the most fun and the lekkerste grapes to work with, because it's such an honor to work with grapes from such an ancient block.
Yeah. Would that then be classified as an old vine Pinotage, or?
Yes, so it is technically an old vine. Old vines qualify at the age of 35. But we don't market it as old vine. The focus is more on the heritage of Pinotage, rather than just jumping on the old vine bandwagon, I
Yes,
guess. So the
yeah.
focus is Pinotage and that particular block that was planted. It was one of the first blocks, and I believe it's one of the oldest blocks still in production for commercially produced wine.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
But it's
incredible.
small production, like I said, 2 tons a year gives us a few thousand bottles, which is not a lot. So yeah,
Yeah, which means it's quite exclusive.
exactly.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
it only available on the farm or how does it work?
No, it's also available through some of our distributors, Vineyard, and yeah, but your best chance is to get it on the farm.
And
It's
that's
usually on
probably the best
allocation.
experience as well, right?
100%. The wine tastes the best from where it's from always.
Yes.
Our wines travel well, but to taste something where it was produced is there's just something
Yeah.
special about it.
Yeah.
Other varieties, Chardonnay is big for us. Stellenbosch Chardonnay doesn't always get the recognition I think it deserves, but our valley, because it's a little bit of a microclimate, there it gets cold enough in the winters for the plants to go into full dormancy, and this helps with even bud break in the springtime, and then just a nice cooling effect in the evenings. So our diurnal temperature difference between day temperatures and night temperatures allow the grapes to ripen sufficiently without losing too much of the natural acidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then our flagship Chardonnay is Mrs. English. She's produced from a single block of vineyards right next to the winemaker's house, so there's extra attention to that block. Chardonnay doesn't get very old before it loses its legs and its vibrancy and its yield, but for some reason this block just works pretty well. I wouldn't have the guts to plant a vineyard there, but I'm happy that my voorgangers planted
Yeah.
there, and I'm lucky enough to work with the grapes. Yeah.
Wow.
And then also Cabernet would be our other pillar variety.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned bud break.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because I spoke to a winemaker from the Durbanville Valley the other day, and he said they'd already had
Bud
some
break.
of the vineyards that, yeah.
Yes. So this week our Chardonnay vineyards actually started bud break.
And that's quite early,
It's
isn't
very
it?
early. Yeah, we had a cold enough winter, but not long enough. So this poses challenges, but we are always adapting to climate change, and our farming practices needs to adapt. We're farming twice or 3 times as smart as we did 10 years ago to get the same results. So we're always trying to catch up. But yeah, Mother Nature, she dictates the quality and the quantity every year. Yeah, we
Yeah.
just have to adapt and
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and work with her, not against her. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm curious, like, were there any things that you've changed over the past couple of years in terms of how you approach a harvest? Yeah, just with regards to climate change and the challenges that come with it.
Yes, certainly. So before bud break even started and the new growing season, we put a lot of effort in cover cropping. We do soil analysis and also determine what each block needs according to its soil type and where it's located on the farm. It's very varying sites on the farm. It ranges from 50 meters above sea level to 450 meters, and there's all types of exposures and row directions. So we plant. First off, we plant the varieties that belongs in a certain area. It's not just that, oh, we've got this open plot of land and we need this grape, so we plant it. If it doesn't belong there, we wouldn't plant it. So there's a lot of planning and consulting and scientific research going into site selection. That's the first one. That's very important because it is a expensive capital
Yes,
investment
yeah.
to plant a new block. So if it's planted wrong or on the wrong site, that can be detrimental. And then also when it comes to farming, cover cropping, like I mentioned, we will plant cover crops according to what's needed. And then we always try and get as much biomass as possible. The biomass that is produced during the winter, if we had sufficient rain, would be cut down and would act as a mulch. open ground is not natural and it's not good for agriculture. So we try and cover it as much as possible with stuff that we grew on the spot rather than truck bales and stuff in. Yeah, if the ground is covered, this helps with less evapotranspiration and conserve soil moisture. We also farm not organically or biodynamically, but sustainable as possible.
Yes, yeah.
We are in an area where disease pressure, especially fungus pressure and stuff like that, is high. So we cannot go 100% natural. We would only shoot ourselves in the foot. But with that in mind, farm as safe as possible to protect the soil biome.
Yeah.
We can't kill everything in there because we know they're responsible for translocating all the nutrients and stuff that the plant needs. So cover cropping, and then also canopy management during the growing season to protect grapes where it's needed from the sun, meaning leaving more leaves during crucial stages of the growing, and then opening up when we need the grapes to ripen.
Yes.
But it's all dictated by nature, obviously, and then by the plant itself. How it's responding to the season. We can make plans all we want, but if the vine is not responding in a certain way, we try and do what we can to help it. To get its best potential.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if you are a winemaker who likes to predict, but if you could say anything about this upcoming harvest, what would you say?
So there's been a joke going around that we're starting harvest next month.
Or during Christmas, apparently.
Or during Christmas, which would be crazy because that would mean 2 vintages in 1 year. But the indicators do show that it's going to be a dry and windy one. We had a dry and windy season last year, but bud break was a bit delayed, which helped us. But now with early bud break, hot and dry and windy conditions, it's going to be a challenging one. But like my neighbor, Dion de Villiers, he's been farming there for generations. And when I come with my weather app and I said, "Well, have you seen the predictions?" He's like, no, son, this is not happening yet because of the wind that's blowing and you can see the mist in the morning. So this is what's going to happen. And sure enough, those institutional knowledge wins YR's weather app every time. But it is good to have a general idea of what the season is going to be. The El Nino, obviously, system dictates most of our weather, and it is currently very active in drying out and warming up our climate.
So you mentioned your neighbor now, and I'm curious because I think in winemaking, it's so valuable to have people like that who just understands the seasons. And have you had any other people kind of influence you during your career?
No, surely. So Lanzerac is not an easy farm to farm because I mentioned the slopes and the different aspects. The soil in certain parts are only like a half meter to a meter deep, so not a lot of water retention. So as a farmer, you need to use every bit of knowledge that you can gain. And I mentioned to him, Dion, he's my neighbor on the one side, and on the other side is Tilman Mare. He's also a 5th generation farmer there, and his dad is also still involved on the farm. So whenever I'm not sure about something and the consultants or the scientists can't answer questions that I have, I just go for a cup of tea or coffee. But then I know my whole afternoon is finished because Auntie Betsy would bring cookies, and then it's a chat about the rugby and everything but vines, and then later we'll get to business and chat about. But no, the knowledge that they bring and that I can draw from them is crucial. The wine industry in general is very helpful in that way. We all know we're representing brand South Africa at the end of the day. We're competing against each other for market space, but also I will do everything in my power to make sure that the guy that comes for help is gets the right knowledge, because we don't want substandard wines being released in the market. And we all, it's like there's a camaraderie spirit for sure in the industry, because we know it's challenging and we can't all be specialists on every variety and every soil type. So I just dial the people who I know. We're all humble enough to know that we don't know everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
True. No, it's good to know these stories behind the brand, because I've realized also that travelers coming from wherever want to know these things, and they prefer supporting places who have heart, you know. Um, so maybe just give me a bit of a glimpse of the tourist experience at Lanzerac. I mean, obviously we come for the wine, but there's
Yes.
much more to experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lanzerac's very hospitality focused. With the hotel being established in the 70s, and just been building from strength to strength. From the moment you're greeted at the gate by the security guard to the moment you're at a table or in your room, you feel at home. I think this is also true for the broader Stellenbosch and Cape Winelands region. That also you feel like you kind of transported back in time because the interior and the decorating and architecture all has been preserved, modernized, but with like kind of cultivating that traditional and classic feeling that comes with a building or a site that's that old.
Yes, yeah.
So you instantly transported back in time, which already invigorates the senses, and there's just a calming effect on being on a wine farm. It's a working wine farm. There's tractors, there's a cellar with machines and all that, but in between all that, it's just a very relaxing environment. We do offer private vineyard tours and also cellar tastings and cellar tours, so people can get to see the belly of the beast and where the magic happens, or where we try to make the magic happen. Yeah, so it's a well-rounded property with a lot to offer. There's world-class hiking trails in and around the property in the Jonkershoek Valley,
Yes,
and
yeah.
also major for mountain bike enthusiasts. Yeah, and nice jogging paths. I'm not a jogger myself, but yeah, based on the amount of people that runs past the farm every day, I'm sure it's it's a nice spot to have a run.
I'll have to come then. I'll
Yeah.
have to definitely come and visit.
Yeah, the air is definitely a bit more and cleaner than
Yeah.
in the valley than here in Gauteng, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's a special place. The moment I set foot, I'm lucky enough to live on the farm also,
Okay.
and yeah, so lucky, so privileged. It's just such an honor to live on a place with that history, all the people that went before me, big shoes to fill, but excited for the challenge
Yeah,
and
yeah.
for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Michael, and good luck with the tasting today and
Thank you.
all your travels.
Thank you.
And enjoy Pretoria.
Yes, I will. I've got some family still here, so I'm sure I'll make some time to go visit them.
Oh, great.
Always
Yeah.
nice to come back to your roots.
Yeah, it's always good to be back. Yeah.
Yes. No, thank you for your time and thanks for chatting.
Thank
It
you.
was an honor.
What a privilege it was to spend time with Michael Roets in his very own hometown and gain a deeper understanding of the passion, precision, and dedication that go into every bottle of Lanzerac wine. From vineyard management to the art and science of winemaking, Michael's insights remind us that great wine is never simply made in the cellar. It begins in the soil, it is shaped by nature, and it is guided by people who are deeply committed to their craft. Thank you again, Michael, for sharing your time and expertise with us, and to the wonderful team at Carafa Restaurant for your hospitality and for allowing us to record this episode in your wine shop. If you find yourself in Pretoria and have a passion for exceptional food and wine, it is certainly a space worth discovering. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Suitcase and Chardonnay on your favorite podcast platform, leave a review and share it with fellow wine lovers, travelers, and curious storytellers. Until next time, may your suitcase be packed for adventure and your glass always hold a story worth sharing. Cheers! Thank you so much for spending some time with me on Suitcase and Chardonnay. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to follow the podcast or subscribe on your favorite platform. It truly helps the show grow and helps others to discover it too. You can find more stories, travel tips and reviews, style inspiration and curated recommendations over on the blog at Suitcase and Chardonnay, where each episode often lives on in written form, with links, visuals and deeper details. For daily fashion inspo, behind-the-scenes moments and slow-living storytelling, come and say hi on Instagram, Facebook or Pinterest. Just search for Suitcase and Chardonnay. And if this episode sparked something for you, don't forget to save it or share it with someone who loves travel, fashion, food and wine as much as you do. Until next time, keep chasing beauty, spotting the little things, traveling with intention and finding joy in everyday things.